There is a big, huge pimple right above my eyebrow. So I hope you like notice my face, not necessarily this pimple right here. But I mean, now that I said something about it, it's probably gonna be all you notice. So why did I mention it? I don't know. Am I just really insecure? Maybe. Hello, everyone. It is Alyssa, and I have another video for you guys today. I started filming in front of my dresser because I'm trying to find the perfect spot in my room to film, because it's really all I can film in right now. Today I am going to be returning to my mental health, mental illness talk. I'm going to actually be revisiting something that's been on my mind lately. And it's actually my most watched video, which is amazing to me because I honestly just made it because I just wanted to talk about something that I felt not enough people knew about. And that is my video about my language disorder. The language disorder that I was first diagnosed with we'll get to that soon, was called mixed expressive receptive language disorder. And I am just amazed at how many people have come to me telling me they dealt with their own language disorders and have very similar things that I have. The problems that I talked about in that video, people could really relate to, which is, I think, is wonderful, because I was not aware of how many people have had that kind of issue before. So that made me very happy. And I'm just kind of in shock that that video is my most watched video. I can't talk ever, I'm sorry. So before anything else, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who has watched it and everybody who has commented. I really just can't thank all of you enough. I mean, I would never expected anybody to view my videos ever that much, like ever. Especially back then when I was so much more awkward than I am now, and I was talking about something that was really difficult for me to talk about, and I'm just amazed that it has as many views as it does. Now, as I said, I would like to do a kind of update-ish kind of thing. Just on this illness and what's going on with me and dealing with it. First things first, amazingly, I actually found out that the actual disorder of mixed expressive receptive language disorder is not in the DSM-5. It's not. That's the current diagnostic statistical manual. It's not in the current version. It basically doesn't exist anymore. Technically, I was diagnosed with that, but as of now, what I was diagnosed with doesn't exist in the DSM, so kind of trying to figure out where that puts me and what that does. I know that they changed some things around with different, like, languaging. What languaging? Okay, I was gonna say languaging and processing, but for some reason I put the two words together. I don't know. I was going to say language disorders in the DSM and the processing disorders in the DSM and those kinds of issues, those learning disorders and that kind of thing, have all had some kind of like big change, I guess, in the DSM. I talked to my therapist about this. And they were talking about what that would mean, like specifically for people like me who are diagnosed with this language disorder that apparently doesn't exist anymore, or, you know, other people who have these different kinds of disorders that are similar to mine that don't exist anymore. Now I don't quite know what category I go into, and apparently to figure it out completely you'd have to go in for psych testing, which is, it's not fun. When I first went and see a psychologist to get psych tested to see if I had a language disorder, it took like 3 hours, and it's not that fun. It felt like literally school, and I was like 12. I was a kid, and like I'm like, I don't want to have to sit here for 3 hours with some random dude I don't know doing schoolwork. Like, it's not fun. And if you've been psych tested before, you know what I'm talking about. I wanted to just bring that up because I don't quite understand why that was done. I do know that in psychology, like clinical psychology, the whole diagnostic thing is just weird and it changes all the time. Now just for an update on the language issues. I'm sure, as I have said in that last video, I'm pretty positive I did, that I have been doing so much better after doing speech therapy. With speech therapy, like, you just kind of do it, I mean, however long your, like, whoever diagnosed you with the disorder wants you to go for, and hopefully that helps. That's usually as much that insurance will pay for if you do have insurance. I have a hair on my lip. I have had some questions kind of around the question of like, why? Well, how actually do you continue to keep up with, you know, what you learned in speech therapy like a long time ago? I was 13 when I did speech therapy for the first time, and it's just one of those things I get asked a lot with speech therapy, I've noticed, at least in my experience, and for other people I have spoken to about this, and even like spoken to my therapist about this, is that it's kind of like a muscle memory thing. You get taught certain things, how to speak properly, you know, whatever, like my issues with grammar. I remember I mentioned in my last video I had issues with my tenses, my past tense, present tense, you know, saying wrong words in place of, you know, like words that I know I want to say, but another word just kind of came in out of nowhere. Things like that. And also dealing with, you know, being able to understand what other people are saying to you. So that's the receptive part of the whole disorder. This is kind of something that's like your brain just learns over time. And really the speech therapy in itself is really what helped me the most, even though that was years ago. I am 24 now, and it was like I keep saying, can't talk, 13. So that was 11 years ago. Haven't been to speech therapy since then. But I've been doing much, 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 much better with my language problems. Once you learn everything in speech therapy that you need to learn for whatever language disorder you have, or, you know, anything you have that you might need speech therapy for, it's like a muscle memory thing, like I keep saying. You learn it, and once you leave speech therapy, you are able to use what you learned in your day-to-day life to continue to even learn more and keep grasping that concept of what you're supposed to do to, you know, better understand other people, to better speak properly, to better pronunciate properly, those kinds of things. It's just kind of something over the years I noticed I just learned more and more. I do still have issues with like saying specific things and some receptive parts of the disorder as well. And that's just something that it's just not going to go away. As we all know, these language disorders are just the way our brains are wired. They're just wired differently. And you can teach your brain to kind of, you know, control some of that, but there's some of those aspects of the disorder that will just be there forever. Some of them decide to stay because they feel like it, because, you know, it's like I'm happy that I was able to get speech therapy when I did. I mean, I got it when I was like 13, and I know it's so much better to have that in check, to have speech therapy when you're a lot younger. But we did not catch any kind of language disorder when I was younger. At all. We might talk about that in detail later in a different video, but for now that's not what we're talking about. But yeah, so I ended up going to speech therapy when I was 13. But I'm still lucky enough to be able to actually, you know, like talk properly and be able to pronunciate words correctly, be able to understand people. Just the fact that I can, even though I still have, you know, some problems here and there, like, I'm glad, it's fine. One thing I know you guys probably notice this quite a bit. I do it all the time. I believe I even mentioned it in my video about my language disorder. And that is when my brain decides to completely stop. My thought process just stops working, and I might be talking to you, talking to, I don't know, whoever. I'll be wanting to say a word, and then I just stop. Silence. Completely stop talking, and my brain just stops. It's like, it's kind of like you're moving along, you know, just easy does it, moving along. And then it just stops, and then it's just like, and you try and like push so you can like, you know, think of that word you were trying to say, and you can't push, so then you're just like, okay, fine. That happens to me a lot. It's just something that always is just gonna be a thing for me. I mean, I still manage to be able to speak to people and get my point across, so it's not a big deal to me. So that's one thing that I'm always going to have problems with. Another thing is sometimes, few times every now and then I will say a different word in place of another word I'm trying to say, but that's hardly ever, which is pretty awesome because these do that all the time. And what you're hearing right now happens to me a lot. I sometimes do not properly, completely pronunciate my words, even though like I am speaking properly, like I know what I'm saying, you know, I'm saying the words, but I don't actually like completely pronunciate the words correctly, so sometimes it comes across as like a slur. And just in case you guys did not know, any of you all who are watching now, that is why I am very awkward seeming. That was just, I don't know what that was. That's why I'm very awkward when I talk. Yeah, that's why. Because sometimes my brain is just like, nope. But most of my issues are actually in the receptive part of the language disorder. I really have a lot of trouble with comprehension. Comprehending reading any books. I do not like reading books. I will make myself read books now, but it takes me about 100 times longer than it takes the average person to comprehend a single page. And that's not even an exaggeration. Any of you who have issues with comprehension, have some kind of language disorder, know what I'm talking about, you understand it's just a very slow process. It's not like you're dumb. It's not like you can't do it. No, it's just, it takes a longer time. And for me, it's just going to always be like that, comprehension. I still sometimes have trouble with like abstract kind of speech. You know, when somebody's sarcastic, say my boyfriend, who's actually very sarcastic himself, so he's been really actually helping me understand when someone is being serious versus when someone is being sarcastic. But like, yeah, sometimes like it will be difficult for me to understand when someone is being serious or not. I take things very literally. I have issues with differentiating between a completely abstract kind of way to see something versus something that's completely literal, logical, you know. Other than that, everything else that I've talked about before is so much better, which is wonderful in my opinion. And I think that just goes to show, like, for all of you people who have, you know, came to me, like asking me questions or like wanting to talk to me or whatever about issues you've had or your children have had or whoever, just goes to show you really can continue to just learn new concepts, new things every day while you are growing as a person to slowly overcome these issues. Of course, they're going to be there for your whole life, but you're going to be able to get it to the point that you can definitely live the life you want to live. I do want to mention that I might actually have another video on this, answering some questions that people have sent to me, some comments people have sent to me. I'm not gonna mention any names or anything. I'm not gonna read the comments or questions word for word. I will just generalize it and answer it. Just because I kind of want to really, I want people to really understand this kind of thing. Again, like I keep saying, this language disorder thing, it's really kind of unheard of, it seems like. And I don't think it should be, considering amazingly how many people really are dealing with this. I think it would be a wonderful video to make. Now, if you guys have any questions you would like to ask before I do that, then feel free to ask me, of course, under the comment section or DM. Either way, I will definitely get back to it because I don't get that many comments, so it will be very easy to. I hope you all enjoy this video. I know it was something a little different. I am wanting to start a little mental illness kind of series, I guess you could say. And I thought it would be fun to kind of go back on older videos that I have done in the past. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye!